All right, welcome back, everybody. HSC Podcast number 25. We're in season 2, episode 3. So rolling on again. You know, we had a little bit of a downtime there, but picking back up here, hopefully on the weekly schedule. Thanks for everybody for watching, subscribing. If you're on YouTube, watching and subscribing. If you're on Anchor or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, keep listening. Love the views. Any comments you guys have, what you want to hear us talking about, anything like that, we're open to any subject matter. So again, welcome everybody. Of course, Big Box Steve on the mic, and we got Derek the Big Smooth and Fresh Wes on his way. It's funny. Brooklyn just came into the room a few minutes ago and she's like, what's it mean to be rickrolled? I just started dying. I was like, first of all, you're watching too much YouTube. And second of all, I don't even know how to explain that to a 9-year-old.
Right. She's never going to give it up though, Steve.
It's so funny. I was just like, it's like somebody's tricking you, I guess is the best way to explain it. But it was hilarious. So I thought that was funny. So we got a lot of different things I want to cover today, but before we jump into some of the primary topics, there's a big one that hit today with the estimation of second quarter GDP. And so now the big word of the day is recession, right? If you haven't seen that, it's going to be popping up here in the next couple of days everywhere. It's already coming up big. And it's interesting because I follow a lot of social media. I got my podcast, I've got my YouTube channels, and so I'm constantly posting and pushing stuff through Twitter and Facebook and all these, and it's kind of interesting the way people's thought processes around recession, why it's happening, especially with the political polarization right now. It's like, oh yeah, it's Democrats are causing this. You should have voted for Trump, and then it's kind of funny. In the same time, it's not like I don't think people really understand that, but what are your thoughts or what are your feelings? Does it feel like recession's coming on, or what do you think about that?
Well, I kind of thought that we already were in one. I mean, I feel like the combination of COVID plus the war in Ukraine has kind of started to make us part of this. And that's the thing, is like we're still trying to we still can't get like microchips and stuff like that. And the issue is like you go into restaurants or whatever, and they still need hiring. They need people to work. So there's lots of supply and demand out there, but there's no supply.
Right. And, when you talk about consumer spending, because consumer spending drives GDP, it's a huge part of that, right? And it is harder to spend your money when there's no employees. It's harder to feel like you want to go to a restaurant when they're going to be short staffed. Go to Walmart or a grocery store and you got to ring up your own groceries. A lot of people, it is harder to go out there and spend money. So I could see that too. And supply chain's been an issue, but we didn't take a real big GDP hit in 2021 from it. It was, so first quarter this year, we actually took the biggest 1.6%. So yeah, when you say we were kind of already in a recession, it really started at the beginning of this year with that first quarter, a big hit at 1.6, and now they're estimating 0.9, which is kind of a good thing that it's decreased from the first quarter. But how do we get people, out there spending more money? And the other one is business investments, right? So businesses, especially private businesses, big spenders, they're not investing in companies and things anymore. They're out there buying up houses so that they can become slumlords, which that's also going to hurt. So is it more of a fear thing that drives us into recession? Is it just the fear for consumers that they shouldn't be spending and they need to be hanging on to money?
Well, right now I feel like it's time, because it's a lot of price gouging out there. And so for me, it's like we were looking at a new car. Well, there's no new cars available. So then you go look at a used car, and the price of a used car is the same price as a new car. And this car is like, will have like 60, 70,000 miles. So then they're like, nope, I don't need a car. So they're like done. Cause you're like, I'm not going to spend that much money on a used car that what will get me like 5 years, maybe.
Right. Yeah, and that's crazy. You know, my car actually appreciated, which is nuts, right? When does a car ever appreciate? Of course, it's a 40 mile a gallon. You know, that's the kind of car people want. It's a commuter. It's low mileage. It's fairly new. It's only 6-7 years old, but really low mileage, and it gets 40-45 miles a gallon. You know, and so instead of being worth like $5,000, $6,000, which it was like 3 years ago, now it's like 8, 9, 10 grand.
Crazy.
It's like
More miles. Yeah.
did my car literally just double? and I don't put a lot of miles on it. Granted, you know, it's 6 years old and only got 35,000 miles on it. So it's, you know, it's just back and forth to work. But that's still crazy when I'm looking at that, you know, trade-ins and blue books and things like that. I'm like, how did this car appreciate?
Right.
Like, when does that ever happen?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, a lot of families that they go through and they're like, we'll never buy a new car because, used cars, you can get them for, but now it's like, what's the point of buying a used car? It's like, I'm going to spend $5,000 more and get a brand new car.
Right. And it's the case right now. Used cars are out of control. So yeah, you got that halt in spending there, and then people are reluctant at the grocery stores because everything is doubled and tripled in price.
Right.
And I know everybody wants to say, oh, it's 10%, it's 15. No, it's not. It's not. and not everything. And granted, some of the big major staples, they have seen a 15-20% increase: milk, butter, eggs, things like that. They're seeing the 15-20% increase, but other stuff is seeing a 50, 75, 100% increase. Noodles,
Meat.
oils, meats, yeah, different kinds of meats, not pork, but beef.
Well, bacon, you can go bacon.
But you could go buy pork chops and pork roasts and stuff like that nobody eats for great price, like, so if you're looking for meat, no bacon, no steak. I mean, right. Even chicken's up quite a bit too. But if you go like thighs and legs, you're okay. It's like the breasts and the other things that are up. So, I mean, really...
they're not even around sometimes. You can go to the store and looking for chicken thighs or something. I'm like, nope, not this week.
Can't find them. And potatoes, we were talking about that the other day. It's funny because I just went to the store a couple days after talking about that, and there was literally no potatoes.
You're like, potatoes should be the easiest thing to have around.
Yeah, that was funny because we were talking about it, and I've never had that big of an issue with potatoes up here anyway. And they barely had any, so that was kind of funny. And produce too.
Yeah, you go to the store and potatoes are usually almost stacked, chest high, and there was like 0 potatoes.
Yeah, in like 4 bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 bins and potatoes. And like, yeah, produce it's not as available, it's more expensive. And the stuff you're getting, it's not as good. The lettuce doesn't look as good, the cucumbers don't look as good. So it's kind of even at the grocery store, yeah, it's hard for people at the grocery store. It's hard for people, cars. And the most things, what do we spend our money on? Gas, cars, groceries.
Yeah.
And then, you got the electronics and stuff. That type of world's way down too. It used to be people buying new laptops, buying new cell phones, doing all that. So,
well, and that's the thing is, you're talking about recession. If gas, just basic stuff you need to live is costing so much, then you don't have that extra money to go see a movie or to go out to eat or to go and buy a new iPhone or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that hurts. It's kind of like a double-edged sword there, right? You're kind of losing both when you're spending so much to live, you can't spend any on the other things you like to do, and then you really hurt that consumer spending part of GDP, which is what's driving us down right now.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say this year it's getting worse. You're really seeing the effects. Like, I think there was a rollover from all the money that people were saving in 2020 and the stimulus checks and things like that. And we weren't spending a lot of money and we were saving a lot of money, but they just showed people's savings accounts are down 5% this quarter, another 5% the previous quarter, so it's just like a depletion. And
Well, it's because everyone has to pay more to live. I mean, with grocery prices and everything like that, there's less of a margin you get to take home now. And that's like the issue. Like just going to a fast food restaurant for 2 adults and a child is $30.
right. Yeah, it's nuts, right? Like even
Yeah.
a Taco Bell or a Wendy's or a KFC, like it's just nuts.
Yeah. So it's like,
And forget about going to a restaurant or a local restaurant, that you used to go to, like the local pubs, or there's restaurants around here that I enjoy going to. They're not franchises. It's just just a little restaurant here or a pub here in town. And yeah, it was coming close to $100.
mhm.
For me all in Brooklyn, you're talking about 3 people, and full dinners and maybe an appetizer. And it's just like, it's crazy. So yeah, that's a tough one, and I don't want to harp on that too much, but I think that's a hot topic right now. And I think the main takeaway there is it's like the GDP relies on us spending money, but they're making it real hard for us to spend money.
Right.
You got to make a lot of tough decisions on what you actually want to do there. So before we move on, just one last actually thing I did want to hit on. The other thing they talked about, especially in first quarter, was government spending was way up, and obviously with a big bill to Ukraine and things like that, billions of dollars, and it's. I mean, how does that make you feel? It's like we're giving a bunch of money to these other countries where now our savings accounts are depleting, our inflation's going through the roof. We can't do anything we like, and government spending was at a ridiculous amount first quarter.
Well, my philosophy is always smaller government, and we need to take care of our own country first because we have so many issues around here. And, I feel for the Ukrainians and everything like that, but uh, it almost seems like it's more of a PR thing, sending them a bunch of money and just being like, look at how great we are. We're the United States. We're giving them a bunch of money, where there's like so many homeless people in all this dirty city.
Yeah, Seattle and Portland are just horrible right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the foreign money. I mean, it's not just Ukraine, right? I mean, they don't have to be singled out. We give so much money through foreign policy, and we have for years and years and years.
Right.
And it just always makes you wonder, because you do want to help, right? You don't want to be, the country that's not helping, or the richest country in the world, or the highest GDP in the world, and where we're not willing to help.
Right.
But then all of a sudden now the tables start to turn on us, where our GDP is dropping, our inflation's through the roof. We can barely afford to live again. And it's just interesting to me when I look at that and say, where's the balance, and how do you find that balance?
Well, I guess once if Ukraine wins and everything, then we're going to take up a bunch of deep discounts on oil.
Right. Well, and again, and there is that, the money will come back to us, because usually that money is based on some kind of repayment system, especially when it comes to wartime and maritime things. What happens is we give it to them and we make them repay it back over 20, 30 years at a huge rate. And I mean, you look at UK, just 15 years ago finally paid us off from World War II.
Yeah.
So there is a return on investment a little bit, but that doesn't help us right now.
Right.
So that's a tough. Let's see. So we get Wes. Okay, Wes is on his way. So today, I want to run through some NFL stuff. I want to talk a little NFL today, because we're getting close, right? We should have some preseason, coming up here in what's the first preseason game?
August 4th. That's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Las Vegas.
Nice. But preseason's nice, but of course we want the regular season. So one of the ones I want to talk about, I want to run down this list. And I know this isn't a huge site, it's just a meme, but they have these hot takes on 2022. And the first one was Buffalo wins their first ever franchise Super Bowl.
Well, I had them winning last year, so they kind of ticked me off with that one. It's not far-fetched. That one's not far-fetched at all to me.
Yeah. Do you feel that they're the favorite to win right now?
I would still think the Rams are the favorites. If we're talking AFC, yeah, probably Buffalo, maybe Cincinnati, but maybe them in Cincinnati got on a good run. I mean, Buffalo should have beaten KC, so that's a tough one. I think Kansas City will still be good, but I don't think they're as good as last year.
So if you had to choose yes or no on this hot take, yes or no, Buffalo?
Yes.
So yes, Buffalo wins their first Super Bowl. That's a tough one for me. I want to say yes, right? But I also want to say no because, like you said, you've got Cincy, you got the Rams, of course, Tampa Bay if they stay healthy. You got,
which they aren't.
Yeah, you never know. KC, never know what they can do. You've got, that whole AFC West. You never know. Whoever comes out of there comes out tough. So, I'm gonna say no. My hot take is no. Buffalo does not win their first franchise Super Bowl. So, Fresh Wes on the mic, a little delay, but he's in. So, Wes, we just moved to hot takes for 2022. The first hot take on the list is Buffalo wins their first franchise ever Super Bowl 2022. What's your hot take there? Yes or no?
Oh, that's pretty hot because I just got on like that's a tough one, dude. You want me to give the percentage of what?
Well,
like
you got to give yes or no on the hot take, and then you can give us why you gave the answer. So
no.
Yes or no. So
no.
why don't they win?
No. Josh Allen.
Ooh.
Because the dude is so talented. He has all the talent in the world. Problem is he has no confidence. In my opinion. You look at him, when it comes down to winning a Super Bowl, you have a quarterback that has confidence. He has all the ability in the world, but to me, he hasn't displayed the confidence to do it.
Not yet, but he's still young though, too, right?
Of course he's young. So he can do it in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault he lost to Kansas City.
He should have took more time.
Yeah, that's totally true. And he totally got job there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Kansas City game was crap. Yeah. But the problem is you just look at him and you look at his eyes like, dude, you're gonna everyone's gonna be gunning for them.
Yeah, they are.
Everyone's gonna be gunning. Like they're the favorites. And honestly, it's like, I kind of picked them too, to a certain extent. But he's gonna have to sit there and he's gonna have to deal with that AFC. And then his prize is getting to the Super Bowl, and you're either gonna play defending champions like the Rams, or you're gonna play Tom Brady. And that Tom Brady dude's been around the block a few times. He has a lot of confidence.
Yeah, so we'll circle back to that one here in a minute with the Tom Brady stuff. So Wes's hot take is no. I say no. Derek says yes. Josh Allen, he's definitely the most gifted quarterback we've seen in a long time as far as the arm and the feet. he could do a lot of things as a quarterback. So, and I don't know. I don't know that I've really seen him that not confident, but maybe you've seen more than I see from him. I feel like he does have confidence, but maybe it's misguided. Maybe he's trying to put balls where he shouldn't be and do things that he shouldn't be, and that may have cost them games.
If you're that talented, what the people don't remember when John Elway came into the league, right? And he went to the Super Bowl his 4th year, and Marino went his 2nd. So Marino had a lot of confidence, but Elway had a lot of confidence too. It's just, you get into those years where you need to go to the Super Bowl with his talent. I mean, they kept showing the tape where he jumped over the dude, the Kansas City game.
Right.
Like the dude, you're 6'4", you're 200 and how many, you're jumping over dudes.
Yeah, he's athletically, he's gifted, right? And I think, to me, looking at statistically what the Bills did last year, they didn't really add a lot. I think it really comes down to people believing in the growth of Josh Allen, why they're the favorite. Because they didn't add anything. It's not like their team got any better.
Von Miller, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, Von Miller did.
That a super old guy that used to be really good at sacks.
Yeah.
And James
he's
Crowder.
still really good at sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's situational pass rush. You just put him out there to go for sacks.
Right.
He doesn't have to play 1st and 2nd down. They also got Jamison Crowder.
Yeah,
I think
Crowder was a good ad for them because he's a great slot. He's a really good route runner, and so I think that does help them a little.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them in a sense. I mean, of course, I'm not totally, because I'm a Raiders fan, and I think the Raiders should win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the Raiders.
But at the same point, like, that's my hunch. Like, you know what?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna win it. It's a Buffalo curse. So second hot take is, and this is an interesting one. Philly proves to have the brightest future in the league. So are the Eagles the upcomer, especially in the NFC? I mean, why would this be a hot take? Does Philly prove that they're have a bright future? They squeak into the playoffs last year. Great running game. Devonta Smith gets better. They add AJ Brown.
Who's their quarterback?
Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
On, dude.
There we go.
So you're not a Jalen Hurts believer. Okay, so that sounds like is that a no for you, Wes? Philly does not prove
No.
the brightest future in the NFL?
Negative. Minus. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I mean, the thing is, when it comes to winning in the NFL, you have to have exceptional quarterback play. I mean, that's all there's to it.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts is a fine quarterback for the USFL or fucking CFL. But when it comes to the NFL, is he a top 10 quarterback?
No, he's an average quarterback. He might be close. He might be close.
Yeah.
He's maybe top 15.
Well, we'll see what happens. He's only played. I mean, he only started 1 year. We'll see what happens next year. Because, I mean, I guarantee you, if he does not do well, the Philadelphia Eagle fans will let him know.
Yeah.
And he'll be like a leopard.
I got a question.
He'll be cast out like a leopard.
Was Nick Foles a top 10 quarterback?
Yeah, exactly.
That is just a weird phenomenon. There's a whole lot. That's like 3 podcasts to talk about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, any quarterback can do it. I mean, if you have the great defense in the world, you got the Bears and the Ravens, teams like that a defense literally wins the championship, I mean, nobody's going behind, Trent Dilfer and saying, hey,
I know we all use Trent Dilfer, like, hey, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, so why can't anybody else win it?
Brad
that
Johnson
was an anomaly. It's because he had the greatest defense ever.
Brad Johnson,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you can. Philly's defense isn't the greatest, but they have some weapons. You talk about Miles Sanders is, I think, very underrated. And I really think that AJ Brown's going to really open up Devonta Smith's game by giving him some room to roam. So do I think they have the brightest future in the NFL? No. So my hot take is no. Yeah. Brightest. So who does have the brightest future is the question.
I would give more clout to the Saints than I would the fucking Eagles.
The
I mean, that's
Saints.
all we're doing.
I think the Saints got a bright future.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're gonna compare the Eagles to the Saints,
Well, just
I mean,
if you
the
gotta pick a
Saints
team.
is the Saints could be legit.
the hot take is that the Eagles have the brightest future in the NFL. It's not the Eagles. Who is it?
Well,
Who says it's the Eagles?
a lot of people. The Eagles are the sexy pick this year.
Yeah.
They are the, it's back. Remember the Eagles when they were the dream team and they were supposed to be so good? That's the type of hype they're getting. And you know where the misplaced hype is? It's because they play in the NFC East and that division sucks. So yeah, they'll win that division. They're going to win that division.
What about the Cowboys?
Cowboys suck. Cooper's gone. Gallup is still injured.
Yeah. But CeeDee Lamb.
I don't-
What about CeeDee Lamb, man?
That's good. You have one
He is
receiver.
so
That's
good.
great.
They got
Your
Dak
offensive line is in
Prescott.
shambles.
Yeah, and their running game sucks. Their tight end's good. They got a good tight end, a good receiver. But yeah, Dak, I don't think can carry him.
No. And so, yeah, I think the Eagles, plus if we're talking future, not this year. So let's say Jalen Hurts sucks so bad that they are horrible. Guess what? The Eagles have 2 first-round picks next year.
Right.
There's lots of good quarterbacks coming out next year. So if we're talking future, yeah, their future is bright. If they mess up, they still have a good good roster. They just need a good quarterback. And
But
all
are
of
we
a sudden,
talking about them winning the division? Or are we talking about them
No,
possibly
just-
getting to the Super Bowl?
No.
Because winning the
What-
division is realistic. Them getting to the Super Bowl, I think, is a little.
Of course not. We're talking
no,
about.
no, but we're
future.
talking future.
Yeah. What do they look like in the next 5 years? Right.
Okay,
How do
okay.
their next 5 years look? And I think that's why this is a hot take, is because people think the Eagles do have a real good future ahead of them, which I don't 100% disagree with, because they got a lot of good young players on both sides of the ball. But I don't know. Like, to me, I think the Chargers got to be up there when you talk
Yes.
about teams with bright futures.
But the Chargers are going to charge her.
Yeah.
Here's my off the wall. Everyone's going to yell at me. Take brightest future. The Texans.
Really? Okay. Yeah, explain yourself.
How many draft picks did they get from the Cleveland Browns,
Yeah.
who are going to suck this year?
Right.
They already got young players coming in. They're going to have tons of draft picks. If they do it right,
Right.
they're going to be back fast.
I don't know about fast, but yeah, maybe 3 years, 3 to 5 years. Sure.
And then right now, I mean, people are sleeping on Davis Mills.
Yeah.
He was one of the better rookie quarterbacks last year, second half of the season. So, I mean,
running for your life and throwing the ball makes you good.
right. But I mean, everyone thought last year that they were going to not win a game,
Right. No.
and they ended up winning like 4 or 5, right? I mean,
yeah, they weren't terrible. They need to use those picks wisely, I think, though. So I think if they do it right, I could agree with that, right? But you never know. Like,
Right.
It's such a crapshoot when it comes to draft picks and picking the right people for the team with the right positions and things like that. So I think they could be. I don't think it's like a crazy thought process, but I don't know that it's as guaranteed as somebody like the Chargers, or like the 49ers who are coming up. I think they have a good future ahead of them. Let's see who else.
what about your in
Jags.
your division, the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the Detroit Lions is they're the Detroit Lions. when you talk about they're going to charger it, it's worse on the Lions side. I mean, they're like the Cleveland Browns of the NFC. So,
Well, they get a generational talent and then squander it the entire
Right,
time they have
right.
them.
So,
So
I don't think Philly's a crazy hot take there. So, but I think we're all in agreement there. We don't agree with it. Okay, so Tom Brady has an MVP caliber season, and the Bucks are a top 5 team. Added Julio Jones.
I mean, it's funny that like they just snag up Julio Jones like he's just some scrub off the street,
Right?
and it's just, but the funny thing about that is maybe let's just say it's Julio Jones 85% of what he was when they went to the Super Bowl.
I'll take it.
I'll take it
As a third receiver.
Yeah.
You got Godwin and you got Mike. Now you're gonna add Julio.
There you go, Julio Jones.
You're like, hey Julio, why don't you just get in the slot?
Tell me if Tom Brady is not like the luckiest person ever is. Like it's just stupid. Like, hey, and you know what Tom Brady is. He's like, hey, dude, come play with us.
Right.
And imagine the jokes. You know, it's funny watching we watched the match and watched, Tom, kind of push his buttons with Josh. Like, hey, dude, hey, how's that not having a Super Bowl ring feel to you, right? Well, imagine the jokes in that locker room. Like, hey, Julio, like, how'd that 25-3 lead feel to you? It's like, and you lose. Good thing you join our team.
I will take Julio Jones on my receiving squad any day. So can Tom Brady come back at this age, if we're playing this long, and have another MVP caliber season?
no.
Derek says no.
Everyone forgets. It's not about what weapons you have, because Godwin also is coming off a torn ACL. So who knows if he's going to be completely healthy. The fact is, their center, Ryan Jensen, just went down today with a knee injury, which you know what that probably means.
Oh, that's bad.
He's probably out for the season.
Right.
They both their guards are gone. One retired and one left. So you're talking about his whole interior of his offensive line is going to be new.
Right.
So
I mean, you put him in the shotgun, and who's better at getting the ball out than Tom?
Yeah, but we've seen the way to beat Tom Brady is pressure.
So do you want to hear why I think they're going to have some problems? I'm just going to bring up their schedule. I just brought it up right now. So their first game of the year, they got to go to New Orleans, go to play the Saints. They got the Chiefs at home the next week. They go to the Steelers. Steelers suck. They got Baltimore coming into town. They got to play the Saints again. They got to play the defending AFC champions, Bengals. They have to then go to Dallas, play the Cowboys. They got to play the Packers. They got to play the Rams on November 6th. They have to go to San Francisco and play the Niners. They got a tough schedule.
Tom Brady will be all over that 49ers game, though.
Right.
That's his hometown game.
So they got to go last game. They got to go play at Arizona. I mean, they got a tough schedule.
So we say
they got 4 automatic wins because he plays the Panthers and the Falcons twice.
So are you saying no?
What are you talking about? Baker Mayfield, man.
Yeah. No.
You never know. He could be re-energized.
The question is
Matt Rule.
No to MVP season and no to a top 5 team for the Bucks.
Yes. Noted.
No to both.
Yeah.
Wes?
Yeah.
No to MVP.
I'm saying for him, it's not an MVP season. Not because he's 45. The fact is
not because he's 45. Because I know we ain't
going out there.
We're not going out there.
Dude, he's got the fucking vampire.
Have you seen him recently? The dude's freaking ripped.
I know.
Selling his swimsuits.
I'm going to go opposite of you guys, and I'm going to say yes, because I think Godwin comes back healthy. I think Julio's a great addition, and I think Tom Brady he's got one more season in him, and that's what he's here for. He's very disappointed in what happened last year, mostly because they probably should have went to the Super Bowl without the injuries that they had. And I think he's coming back for one more time, and I think you're going to see one final Tom Brady year, and it's going to be a good one. Maybe even a Super Bowl year. So I do have that 2020 hot take. This one's let's forget the college football for now. Free agency pays off for the Chargers, and the Chargers win their playoff game. No? Derek
Chargers
says
are going
no.
to Charger.
Will they even make the playoffs?
I don't think so.
It's a tough division.
Yeah.
Tough division. So
I think this is where Brandon Staley gets fired. They should, but he's going to make too many overzealous fourth down calls, and they're going to lose a few games because of time management and because he makes mistakes like that. And it's such a slim margin of error. You can't be making mistakes like that, especially how close the AFC West is going to be.
It's not only just that is, I like Justin Herbert to a certain extent, even though he plays for the Chargers, but he has a lot of years to win Super Bowls. I just don't think it's going to be next year. There's just so much.
We're just talking about a playoff game. Do they make the playoffs? Do they win a playoff game? Not the
No.
Super Bowl.
No, I agree with Derek. I don't, like I said, I'm going to say the Chiefs and I'm going to say the Raiders because honestly, the Raiders have no room for error. Derek Carr has no room for error. Justin Herbert has all the years in the world. Derek Carr does not. So Derek Carr has a lot to prove next year. He's got the best wide receiver in football. His best buddy, right? I got to hear about it every morning. So my best buddy, I was like, you know what? 35 touchdowns. That's your goal. You break Daryl Lamonic. It's amazing that record still holds true. 34 touchdowns in 1969. Daryl Lamonic. Not Ken Stabler, not Jim Plunkett. These are Super Bowl winning quarterbacks here. Not Todd Murray.
Rich Gannon.
Not Rich Gannon. Not any of these people. It's Daryl Lamonic. So you know what? I think Derek Carr is primed to break that record.
So you neither of you think the Chargers go to the playoffs or win a game, huh? In the playoffs. That's a tough one because the Chargers got a lot better. They were already good. Like they were there. Yeah, the Raiders got a little better with Devontae Adams.
Chandler Jones.
Yeah. It's tough. That's a tough one for me. I think I'm kind of mixed on this one because I think the Chargers are bringing a lot of defense to the game.
Why don't we just pull up their schedule? I mean, honestly, that's
Steve,
what it probably comes down to.
Steve, I want to ask you. So, Khalil Mack, is he the same player that he was when he was with the Raiders?
Oh, definitely not. He hasn't fallen off, though, as much as people think. I think a lot of it was motivation in Chicago for sure. You saw him in his first couple years there. He was a beast still.
Yeah, but he's been injured a lot.
Right. Yeah, he's getting older for sure. But I think it was motivation's a big thing for him. Khalil Mack's always been that type of guy where when he's got the fire in him, he's almost unstoppable. I think Khalil Mack, it's about how well the Chargers play. If the Chargers play well, Khalil Mack plays well. I think that's what it comes down to.
Right.
And when Khalil Mack's playing well, you better believe that you better put some eyes on him because he can control a game on defense.
Jeez, fucking Chargers. Are you fucking kidding? Oh, dude, Steve. I hate to say this, but Steve's gonna be right on this one.
So
how do they not make the playoffs?
All right.
Well,
okay. How do they not make the playoffs?
Wes, they had a third place schedule last year and didn't make the playoffs, right?
But
okay.
It's going to
Okay.
come down to their conference games. I mean, they got to beat Denver. They got to beat the Raiders. They got to beat KC. I mean, there's a lot. That's a
They
lot.
play
Of
the
Alright.
NFC West also.
They got Jacksonville at home. They play Houston the next week. Okay, those are 2 wins right there. They got at Cleveland because Deshaun Watson's not going to be there because he can get suspended. Okay, then you got Denver, blah blah blah. You got there. Then they got Atlanta. Really, you can't beat Atlanta. Yeah, San Francisco. I think San Francisco sucks. Arizona is gonna be tough. Miami.
I don't think Arizona's be as good as people think.
I don't. Well,
I think Arizona falls off.
What week is the Arizona game?
week 12.
Oh, then
Nope.
that's good because on DeAndre Hopkins will be back then.
Yeah. Either way, I'm not sold on Arizona. I'm not sold on Kyler Murray for sure. So my hot take is yes, the Chargers go to the playoffs and they win a playoff game. Packers win 12 games despite the lack of firepower. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is obviously firepower, so I don't know how you say a full lack of firepower. Aaron Jones, pretty good running back, great out of the backfield. Their other running back, what's his name? He's playing really good.
Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan. They lose their receivers.
Their defense is really good though.
Defense.
I'm going to say
and in the NFC North.
Yeah, exactly. They got 4 easy wins against the Lions and the Bears.
And Minnesota. I think they got 6 easy wins.
Really,
Well,
I don't know.
but-
Minnesota might be better
Vikings
though,
aren't, the Vikings aren't bad. That's the thing.
but they have Kirk Cousins.
Right, there you go.
But yeah, I think they could still win 12 games. They seem to always win 12 games,
Right.
but then they're going to lose in the playoffs, so
In
it
the
doesn't
playoffs,
really
of
matter.
course. I mean, I'll give them 12 games. I think they do. Just because they're going to win so many division games, it's hard for them not, because they're going to have a certain amount of easy games. So probably 12 games there. Justin Fields breaks out. Bears go just under 500. So my take on this is that even if Justin Fields doesn't have the greatest season, they come close to 500. They have a schedule that they could win games. It comes down to how they play in their division. If they beat Minnesota, they beat Detroit, and maybe split with the Packers, they could have a decent season. They probably won't do all that, so they're going to come in around 500, maybe a little less. And Justin Fields, I don't know that he breaks out to what people think. I think he just becomes a more solid quarterback. Just learns a little bit more this year, picks up a little bit more of the NFL game, and still just plays athletically. So I think for me, that's a yes. They'll go just under 500.
I'm going to go no. I think Justin Fields breaks out, but they win like 5 games.
Just not enough offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they don't know what they're going to do. Are they in a full rebuild, or you know what I mean? So they didn't give Justin Fields any help.
Right.
I mean, so he's going to, like, when you watch his numbers might not be the greatest next year, but if once you watch the tape and everything, you're going to be like, oh, wow, he's actually playing really well. He just has no one besides Mooney out there.
Right.
So I think they just suffer another year, get some high draft picks, because they didn't have a first. Well, do they have their first next year?
I don't think they do.
Oh, that sucks too. So they better get into free agency or something. Get another receiver out there.
Well, that's kind of the problem, is that he just doesn't have he doesn't really have the weapons. Because I think it would be a breakout year for him if he had the weapons.
But you don't think Dante Pettis is a weapon?
Yeah,
still in
but
the league?
I said weapons, not weapon.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Him and Mooney do have a great connection, and Montgomery can run the ball. So it's not that they have nothing, but yeah, they're young. Their line sucks.
Their defense is not the
The
same
defense
either.
is not the same for sure. Their defense will be the worst it's been in a while. I think their offense actually improves this year, even though they lost some people. I think with Cole Kmet is really come on strong in camp, and he's going to be a hard guy to guard. And Mooney is already getting tough. You know, he's over 1,000 yards. Him and Fields have a connection. So I think their offense actually plays good. I think their defense is what hurts them this year.
Yes,
More than
exactly.
anything.
I say, I mean, here's my hot take also, which is not on probably the list. Justin Fields breaks out. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, that was a great pick. Trey Lance is a bust.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Right? The Niners deserve it because
that's an interesting one. So let's talk Trey Lance for a second. So Derek, we already know Derek thinks Trey Lance is a bust. Wes, what's your feeling on Trey Lance?
I like Trey Lance. I'm not saying that Trey Lance is not talented. He doesn't have the arm talent. He's got all the talent in the world. The problem is he's not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And you have someone like Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, everyone can trash Jimmy all they want. The thing is, you know, he has won a lot of games for him.
Yeah.
And honestly, you can mix and match them at the same time on the field and really cause some problems for teams. Right. And that, especially in that division. It's not a gimme the Rams are going to win that division. No. If honestly, I mean, the Niners weren't that far away from beating them in the fucking NFC Championship.
You know, they had the lead. They should have won.
They had the lead, and they lost.
Here's the thing: is that Shanahan and Lynch already came out and said Garoppolo is not coming back.
Yeah,
he's not on the team.
They did because they're stupid.
Well, and yeah. I mean,
because they're dumb.
You're putting all your cards in Trey Lance's hands, and that's
exactly.
I actually think they did Trey Lance a disservice last season by not using him more in situational football. You know, put him in the shotgun sometimes, letting him run the ball. You know, let him throw some quick passes on second and short, things like that. And get him a little bit more game experience than they did. I think they did a disservice.
Isn't it funny? Like the Steelers, remember Cordell Stewart? Remember Slash?
Yeah.
Remember that whole thing. I mean, they got to a Super Bowl with Slash.
Right.
Doing that. So why don't you do the same thing with Trey Lance? So what? Neil O'Donnell's your quarterback. Everyone knew what Neil O'Donnell was. Everybody knows what Jimmy Garoppolo is. That's right. Not the point. You're going to cause fits for teams if you do the same thing with Trey Lance. If you put Trey Lance under center, everyone's looking at him, they're just going to laugh, dude. Like, all right, dude doesn't know how to play position. He doesn't know how to read defenses. He's athletically, he could throw the ball 50 yards on a line. But that's not what wins Super Bowls or football games, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think So I think Trey Lance may bust because of the system. I don't think it's because of Trey Lance. I think it'll be, to me, it reminds me of a Mitchell Trubisky situation where Nagy just ruined him, you know. And I think Shanahan may be on the same pace to ruin Trey Lance.
But here's the thing: Shanahan's not Nagy. I mean, Shanahan's a legit coach.
Yeah, no, he.
I mean, he's
Trey Lance.
Nagy is done, and that's ridiculous. How do you not see that? How do you not see? Hey, you know, we all know what
my style of quarterback.
Well, that's the thing is I don't understand is Shanahan. Look at the quarterbacks he's been successful at.
Right.
Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan and Garoppolo. What do they all have in common?
Right.
They don't move around at all.
They never should have traded up. They should have took Mac Jones, and they've been fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and let Trey Lance go to New England or anywhere else, right? I think they should have went with Mac Jones. They should have stayed, and they should have not traded up, and they should have said, "We'll just take Mac Jones because he'll fit in our system." Yeah,
or they waited for Davis Mills even, and he could have sat behind Garoppolo last year.
So this one wasn't on the list, but I just saw this one, and I got to bring it up for you guys. The Raiders are the most overrated team coming into 2022.
Can I cry first?
Well, I mean, what's your guys' take on this?
Let Derek go first.
I've seen this. I've seen this around a couple times now. And
That's kind of ridiculous to me because people still say they're the fourth best team in the AFC West. So I don't know who's saying that they're overrated. I mean, because they got Devontae Adams, everyone's like, oh, they're underrated. Actually,
I've seen them come in. I've seen people have them in second and third in their standings.
Yeah, but no one's saying first.
No,
that would be overrated, right? I mean, the Chiefs are overrated right now. They lost Tyreek Hill, and everyone is like, oh, Andy Reid's such a genius with receivers. No, he's not. How is Sammy Watkins doing? How's McCall Hardman doing?
Now Derek's mad, dude. This is garbage here, man.
Do the Raiders finish better than last in the division?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'm not sold on Denver. I like Russell Wilson, but he's been injury prone the last few years, and it could be it needs a change of scenery. I just don't know if Denver is the one that to me always, like last year, Denver, they're the most overrated team in the NFL because they're the sexy pick. Last year, everyone said they were going to win the division. Look what happened. They beat up on the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans and the first few Carolina Panthers in the first 4 games. And everyone was like, oh my God, look at this team. And then they came in 4th in the division.
Yeah.
The Chargers.
The Broncos still had a pretty solid offense last year, though, without Russell Wilson.
Right.
And so now you're talking about a top 5 offense coming in with adding Russell Wilson.
Yeah, well, they weren't a top 5 offense.
They were close, but I think they were definitely up there. I think it was 6 or 7. But like I said, adding Russell Wilson, you're definitely a top 5 offense.
Yeah, well, the Raiders added Devontae Adams. Think about this. The Raiders last year lost their head coach, lost their deep threat, were in turmoil all year, still made the playoffs with Darren Waller missing 6 games.
Right.
They still made the playoffs. Derek Carr was top 5 in yardage last year with Hunter Renfrow as his number 1, really, and Zay Jones. Okay?
Hey, he got a huge contract.
I like Zay Jones. I think
Zay Jones got a huge contract. You know who else got a huge contract after leaving the Raiders? Nelson Aguilar.
Right.
What does Nelson Aguilar did last year, right? Nothing. Because Derek Carr made him better. Derek Carr made a Cooper better. Derek Carr made Crabtree better. They're coming in now. You're going to have Adams, Renfrow, Waller, all healthy, with DeMarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole. They've, like Wes said, we're looking at passing touchdown records broken here. Then on defense, they added, Chandler Jones to go with Max Crosby. That could be a wash with Yannick on the pass rushing side. But Chandler Jones is one of the better run defense ends also. So I think to call him overrated, that's a little much. I kind of feel like Denver and San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers are overrated.
Are you sure they weren't talking about the Cowboys?
Well,
Cowboys are overrated.
They're overrated every year. So
every year.
So Wes, what's your take? What's your take on the Raiders?
So
do they come in as good as people are expecting?
I think so. And the only reason I say that is we could talk about Derek Carr all we want. But I think it all comes down to Josh McDaniels. I think everybody forgets that Josh McDaniels has won 6 Super Bowls. And it wasn't all Tom Brady. It wasn't all Bill Belichick. It was all schematics also. So what Josh McDaniels is going to come in, he's going to come in and make it easy for Derek Carr to be successful. And he's got enough weapons. Honestly, Waller's one of the best tight ends in football.
Definitely.
You're gonna have one of the best slot receivers in the NFL in Hunter Renfrow and Cole. mean, Cole's no scrub,
Yeah.
right?
No,
And you're and we're not even getting to the outside when we're talking about Adams. And what Josh McDaniels do is going to schematically set up the offense to make it easy for Derek Carr to be successful. So I find it very hard to believe that they're not going to make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, fire Derek Carr, fire everybody.
Fire.
My opinion.
So what's your record prediction for the Raiders then?
11 wins.
11 wins.
Yeah, I'd say 10 or 11.
10 or 11. Is that good enough to make the playoffs in the AFC?
I think so. I think everyone's going to beat each other up because I look at you got the Dolphins and the Bills, so there's only 2 teams there. The South, you've got the Titans and the Colts, but I think the Titans are going to take a step back. The North, you've got 2 teams. You got the Bengals and the Ravens because I think the Browns are going to Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And then it comes down to the AFC West. And so 7 teams make the playoffs, right? So
yeah, I think the AFC beats up on the NFC this year, though. And the AFC, it's harder to make the playoffs in the AFC, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think in the NFC, you're looking at a lot easier road.
Yeah, 9-win teams getting in, 8.
Yeah, because I mean,
like, who knows?
You have the West, which maybe 3 teams. Cardinals and 49ers are both kind of like you don't know what's going to happen with them. Packers are in, Rams are in, Bucks are in. Then it's either Eagles or Cowboys. And then maybe the Saints, but who knows? Jameis might throw 40 interceptions.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sold on the Saints for sure. I think the NFC overall is going to struggle this year. I think that there's going to be a few top teams coming out of there for sure. There's a couple really good teams, Rams and the Bucks, and the Packers will do well, and that's about it. You're going to have really 3 top teams there. I think the AFC's tough. I think when you talk about the Raiders, and we're talking about this hot take, I don't think that they're overrated, and I don't think. I think there are people saying they're overrated. I think that's a little bit too much, but I think they're in a tough division, and it's in this kind of, it could go either way from a 500 team to a playoff team, and in just a matter of minutes in certain games. It could be that Chargers game at the end of the game. It could be that Chiefs game, at the end of the game. So for me, for the Raiders, I think the Raiders are going to come down to their divisional games, and did they win the close ones?
Right.
So if they can win the close ones in their division, I think they can make the playoffs, and who knows, from there. But they could also lose those games.
Yeah.
So I think the Chargers got better. I think the Broncos got better.
They all got better except the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think Chiefs are the only ones that didn't get better.
But yeah, Russell Wilson. I mean, it is still Russell Wilson. I mean, that's kind of the X factor. It's like, what's that look like with the weapons that they had already? And Russell Wilson comes in.
Yep.
I mean, they just set it up perfectly for him to be successful.
But who has the most sacks against Russell Wilson?
I don't know.
Chandler Jones.
Good.
Yeah, it's gonna be
no mercy.
That's an interesting division for sure. I think
it's gonna be fun.
I think people are picking on the Raiders because, like you said, it's the Denver looks like that. Make this great move with Russell Wilson, and I think everybody's looking at the Chargers and how well they did in free agency, and then the Chiefs. I get it. You lost Tyreek Hill, but you still have this guy named Patrick Mahomes who's pretty dang good.
You also lost Mathau too.
Yeah. He's just not a guy I count out. You look at his statistics since coming into the league, and it's pretty amazing. So Mahomes, and you know what? I'll throw to Kelsey all day. Like him and I could just go out and play pitch and catch, because good luck stopping him.
Well, that's where I look at this division at the end of the year. any one of these teams could win. Any one of these teams could be in last.
Right.
It's kind of like it wouldn't surprise me anyway. And you know what? We're talking all this. One injury to any of their quarterbacks and their season's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And who's the Raiders backup?
Well,
Jarrett Stidham.
So before, as we wrap up here, finish this Raiders conversation. I also saw something that said Josh Jacobs is not a good fantasy running back pick this year. How do you guys feel about that? Is Jacobs going to have a good year? How's he going to do?
No, it's going to be running back by committee.
Yeah.
What I think too. Yeah, I mean, but it's about winning, and if they want to win, it should be running back by committee. They got 3 really good running backs. Like I said, just save him for the playoffs.
But the other point is he is going to get the touchdowns.
Right.
He's going to be the short yardage back. So
he's a good back. He's a big dude.
Right.
But
the history, like you look at the Patriots, when have they not been like? Was it back when Corey Dillon was the last bell cow running back? Right. It's always been the most frustrating thing anywhere for like a fantasy owner having a Patriots running back. Because one week it's going to be Danny Woodhead. One week it's going to be, Sonny, it's going to be some other guy. Like,
right.
Was it? I can't even remember his name. That like one guy came in and had like a huge game and then never played again.
Well, look at what LeGarrette Blount did there.
Yeah.
Going in, just getting touchdowns and just taking them away from other people. So I get that. So yeah, interesting division. I think it's an interesting take. I've seen some people beating up on the Raiders, and want to see how
that's
you
a
guys feel
popular
about
thing
that.
for media people. They love to beat up on the Raiders.
Yeah. So we'll see if the Raiders can pull it out this year. I hate to say it, but the Raiders haven't had the best, last 30 years either. So as bad as the Bears have been, the Raiders have been just as bad.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for them. All right, well, let's wrap it up here. NFL, final thoughts, hot takes, Derek.
Well, I'm just going to do an announcement. So the inaugural HSC Fantasy Football League is going to be starting up. And if any of the listeners want to be involved, just leave a comment down below so we can get you involved and see if you can take on us big boys here.
Nice. Yep. The podcast, we'll be talking fantasy football on the podcast as well. So you can get your information and try to beat us. Wes, anything wrap up?
It's going to be a fun season. I mean, talk about all the storylines, talk about there's so many backstories and everything. And the best part is Super Bowl's in Phoenix. We can all drive there. Might as well just go down. Maybe we don't go to the game, but let's go to the experience.
Let's go to the tailgate.
Yeah, go tailgate. I think I already got a house down there. My friend's got a house, so we can stay at their house and watch the game.
I think that's a great statement there, is that it's going to be a fun season. A lot of changes, a lot of storylines happening. I think the balance has finally come to the NFL of you just don't know who's going to win anymore, which makes it that much more exciting. I don't think there's any team that you're just going to say, hey, this team's the best. I mean, you've got this storyline of Tom Brady's still around and Aaron Rodgers is still around. The Rams won the Super Bowl, and the Broncos and the Chargers and the KC and the Raiders, everybody's gotten better, and Henry comes back, and
it's so wide open.
And then it's can't count out the Patriots, and the Dolphins add all these weapons, so it's gonna be a fun season, and I can't wait for it. So that's a great final word. Can't wait for the NFL. We'll continue to talk about it, and then fantasy football as well coming up. We'll give you some fantasy advice and talk a little bit fantasy football. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to like and comment, especially if you are interested in a fantasy league. For you listeners out there on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple, Thanks for listening. Appreciate the support. And we will see you guys next time.